Jabulba Storm going up against the Kaolin Wardens still. And I think you might be onto something. I'm not sure I could agree with your statements more. Like, I'm not sure I could be more on your side of the fence. Like, there's got to be like a 4-man Janus ultimate or a 3-man execute all in a row for Slash, or like peer pressure has to, Buddy's got to find like all the snipes on all the people. like everybody has to make a miracle play, and that's all under the assumption as well that they even get to the team fight stage at some semblance of even, right? That's even talking about their team fight. In this early game, you could argue that's where they have to come online, and you said that, right? Maybe that's where they have to find their stuff. You're not as reliant on the CC, but I mean, I don't even know where you channel that through.
It's gonna be a question mark from me too, boss, because Hell very good in the late game fights, but notoriously bad early game, even in support. Wasn't great in the mid lane either, back when that was where you played this pick. But I mean, even now, not exactly what you're looking for. And again, it comes from no crowd control to work with. You aren't really a threat unless you're just running somebody down with damage. If somebody detects that they're at risk of dying against a Hell, at least in the early game, usually you can just run away from it. There's not anything she can really do to prevent you from escaping, which means that it's difficult to snowball any sort of lane, especially when a Rom is your ADC, who, again, notorious for I clear waves and then we'll see you later kind of gameplay from Bitey on this Rom. It's gonna be tough, and it, again, has to be really either Leon looking for something spectacular, as he kind of finds here in the mid lane.
And a cat under some pressure, and will be forced back towards the tower. Short Fuse leaving him alone a little bit there, so the poke does come through. But I think run away may be the perfect way to describe it. I immediately look over towards the relics for the Kaolin Wardens, and we've got 3 of the movement speed relics and only 1 set of beads. Everybody else has Aegis or some sort of utility relic, even a Thorn's first relic here for Relentless one, which is going to be interesting as we get later in this game, potentially. I am not a fan of a big baby running at me with Thorns active, certainly, in these late game fights. But, I mean, people go the movement speed, shard for other reasons, too. But I think it's interesting, just as you talk about running away. Yeah, you get a little movement speed. What are you going to do? Stop me? What are you going to, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're gonna pop the wing shard and then coast on to safety. And like you pointed out, 3 different players on this Kaolin Wardens team being able to either do that, Frog, or the other way around. How are you going to stop us if we're walking at you? There is no crowd control to prevent all of the Kaolin Wardens from stepping forward and trying to just jump onto the Jabulba Storm. You're looking for it's nerf or nothing. There is damage or you just die, Frog, with this Jabulba Storm team. So I like the fact that they've got these wing shards, and it's actually the Storm playing aggressively on the right-hand side here, looking for what might be their only opportunity around this blue buff for some early aggression.
Yeah, Janus not necessarily known for his level 2 blue buff invades, or not level 2, second blue buff, rather, in invades, but unclear whether or not they got that one off successfully. I'm really looking for Elion to hit level 5, because I think if there's a power spike in this game, already they are 500 gold down. Bitey getting poked out on this left-hand side as well. They've got pressure everywhere they seemingly want pressure at this stage of the game, and just through this passive farming, they've gained this 500-600 gold lead, which is, if we're looking at the team fight, and that's, a lot of our criticism is at the team fight stage, the Jabulba Storm have to stop this in its tracks. You got to stop the snowball rolling early, and if anybody's going to do that, it has to be Elion. He is the one that more than anyone here has chosen the unorthodox pick, I would argue, right? You could pick any jungler in the game. He is the most unorthodox of his team, I think. And he picked it for a reason. He has to be the reason here that they get off to a hot start if they're going to do that.
I agree, although I do want to stop, inscribing the tombstone of the Jabulba Storm already, because there is...
Oh, I like doing that.
You like it? Well, I think that we should at least give them the benefit of the doubt for the time being, because there's always the X factor associated with a team like this. Janus prevents you from ever comfortably pulling an objective, regardless of where it is, regardless of how far ahead you are, how many players you have on vision, if through space and time is up, that is still an X factor for the Xibalba Storm to steal away or secure, if they're on the front foot, any one of these objectives. And, you know, while we do have the question of what are the Xibalba Storm going to do if things go poorly and they get too far behind, don't forget, the Xibalba Storm is a very good team at just kind of chilling out and then waiting until later in the game. Leon is going to be a farm gremlin for the entirety of this game unless he gets some kind of really incredible opportunity. And between Briz and Bitey in the mid and ADC respectively, they're very good at just clearing the wave and then walking back under their tower. You're not looking to take risks as Rom or as Marty Chorus. It's much more on this right-hand side that you're looking to take these risks as we see another blue buff invade.
Leon over here once again to try and put pressure down, and they will have the first bit of positioning, but the Kaolin Wardens, I think, smartly just realize, hey, we can just fight them. So they run back at him, and Relentless One, I think I'm a little bit surprised he held on to that ultimate. I thought he was going to try and walk down Leon, but at least they do find success in getting them away from their own blue buff. They secure that one, and you know, we talk about the Xibalba Storm's pacing. Interesting note is that the Kaolin Wardens counter to game number one, very content, seemingly off the bat, to just play this one slow. In fact, I'm shocked that we have one set of beads at all. We've beaten the CC point to death, but I'm more shocked less at the fact that he went beads, more so at the fact that he didn't go blink. Right? I mean, they're just, you know, content to sit back and farm up.
And that could be because of the fact that the Xibalba Storm are going to be playing so passively. You don't really have to look for anything spectacular just because you can wait and passively farm the map and get ahead. You know that the Storm aren't going to be stepping up to anything. Look at their lane matchups. You've got an Execute to deal with the Vomit, and that's just about the only thing that you've got in your favor. Griff will always be able to outbox this Rom in the left lane, and everywhere else is not looking great either. I mean, even in the mid lane, as we see ult traded out here from Relentless One, Briz doesn't really have the best way to fight into Panda Cat. It's looking to clear the wave and then walk back under tower, which means the Wardens get all of the neutral farm. Griff gets every shield buff, every roaming harpy. The only place on this map that the Storm have gotten anything has been one time a blue buff invade.
Ultimate coming through, though, from Panda Cat. He may be the first one under pressure. Dharmic Pillar slows down Briz, though, forces out the beads for the mid laner, and both of those relics on the opposing mid laners will get burned, but they both do manage to make it out alive successfully. Short Fuse is going to try and catch somebody lazy backing if he can, but that's the first bit of aggression we've seen across the map at all, and I think that shows the potential of, you're absolutely right, like these mid matchups, just the 1v1s, when you finding even matchups, the 1v1s to 2v2s, the safety potential that the Wardens have inherently in their draft, it's so hard to lock them down.
And we'll see an attempt here on Griff's life, but with a true story lurking in the wings, I don't think they're likely to find this one. In fact, it might be peer pressure in trouble. Dash in from Griff, won't be able to find it, but I mean, you're right, Frog. The Wardens are kind of just gonna chill out. Like, they're waiting for their critical mass. As soon as they get maybe a second item online for each of these players, a bit of penetration here, some mana sustain there, they're gonna look for some kind of breakout point. And that's probably going to come around these objectives because Ganesh, notoriously good for shredding down these objectives, one of the best support ultimates in the game for specifically objective DPS, and they have the best secure on the map as far as the Vulcan ult is concerned. You've always got the opportunity for Leon to steal one away, but 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, it's going to be Panda Cat with the Earthshaker that ends up getting the job done. So they could look for this Gold Fury, maybe rotate over Relentless One. He's about to finish off tier 3 of this item, which could be likely a Shogun's to give him a bit more attack speed. I think that as soon as we see the first fight breakout, we'll know how the pacing of this game is going to go.
This might be it. Through space and time towards this left-hand side, and Griff was the target, gets turned around onto Leon there. He will make it out, though, with those portals successfully, and Griff, despite having no mana left in the tank, still wanting to push this one down a little bit. That's the first sort of regression we've seen from Leon. He starts things out with the through space and time, not able to find a target though with that ultimate, and now they may be looking for some action as well, rotating their own jungler over here, and peer pressure into the air. They're looking for first blood, and they will find it onto the support. Short fuse on the board first.
Okay, Bitey looking for something. One snipe off the mark. Doesn't land the third one either. Even if he got all three, I think it was going to be close to be able to bring down a true story there. But first blood kind of shows you the combo potential that the Wardens have as they finally get the items required to do that combo and execute on it. They bring somebody up into the air with short fuse and the Naja ult, and then once they land, not only is there going to be an Earthshaker waiting at the bottom if Panda Cat's around, you get those Dharmic pillars down, that's a lot of good damage and protection shred. We see Relentless One forced up into the big baby just because uses the dash a little bit too aggressively. There's a lot of dangerous waters to be treading through if you're the Xibalba Storm here around this Naja ult.
Earthshaker charged in mid, but off the mark. Briz manages to dodge it out, and Panda Cat gets clipped by the through space in time. Briz here with the ultimate forces out the Aegis. They've got to find this last bit of damage, and Elion gets knocked away at the perfect time. Panda Cat with the meatball helping him stay alive. And once again, they will not find success onto this mid lane pickup. I think, you know... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, after you, Frog.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I was going to point us in a totally different direction because I want to talk about the Naja build and the fact that he's going a little bit hybrid. So talk to me about the Naja build, and then after that, talk to me about the Panda Cat being the focus here.
Right, so the short fuse build is going to be like this hybrid itemization that we see a lot of. Circuits very commonly go this, and we see a lot of this if you have a soul laner that is not a traditional frontliners. We see Panda Cat falling here. Short fuse also going aggressively.
Oh my.
We'll have to ult away here. No Aegis available for Panda Cat. Apparently he just stepped too far forward and got swallowed up by the mid 3v3 of the Xibalba Storm. And now, Frog, that could be a Pyromancer.
Yeah, perhaps you should have talked about Panda Cat being the target here, as he is the target once again. The Pyromancer is next on the menu, but the
he's
nuts.
He's nuts.
Away. The true story, the sub coming in last minute for the Wardens, drops the Dharmic pillars and steals away the first objective. The Wardens will maintain their lead.
And that's kind of the point that I was going toward, actually, Frog, not the Panda Cat thing, is the fact that even despite, we've been bad-mouthing, essentially, the Xibalba Storm draft all game long, it's kind of been working for them. Like, this is never, in a million years, a team composition that is designed to go off to an early lead. This team wants to see you at level 20 and then take a structured 5v5 team fight and steamroll you with the Janus ult. That is what this composition does. And the fact that they've managed to keep the lead only to about, 1,500 gold now since A True Story steals that one away, would have been even closer if it ended up going in the favor of the Xibalba Storm as it perhaps should have. They're probably fairly content with the way this game is going. Like, the fact that they are not horrifically far behind is going to be a benefit to the Xibalba Storm team.
Leon caught in the enemy jungle and preemptively uses that through space and time to make a little bit of space, and short fuse getting clipped down to 20% HP, but they are going to look towards peer pressure here. Once again, he's the furthest one pushed up, and he does not have the escape method to get out of there. Griff rotates over along with Bitey, but Griff is the one that grabs the last hit. They'll grab yet another pick just for the punishment of existing aggressively on the map.
And this is unfortunate here because Slash was thinking about a rotation over to left, but they called him off and sent him back to right lane. But the other way around, man, look at where Relentless One is already at this Gold Fury pit. Leon, no ult available.
Yeah, looking to steal, and not in time even to contest there. He will get out safely, though, with the portal. I think, right, as you're looking at these small picks, as much as I want to harp on some of the same points that we've been harping on, I have to look through the success, because I have to think about the possibility of, like, being a believer. Like, if I was going to be a believer, where would I be, right? What would I be thinking? And I would be thinking, what is the best way to position myself in these late game fights? You talk about how it's a steamrolling Janus ult. Like, how do I put myself in a winning position there if I'm just getting walked at from this lead? This feels almost impossible to be a believer.
Yeah, but what you gotta realize, Frog, is that this is basically the position that the Xibalba Storm knew as they drafted this team composition they were going to be in. This isn't even a contingency plan for them where it's like, oh, well, something didn't work, now we're 2,000 gold behind. They, in picks and bans, said, all right, well, we'll probably fall behind in the early game, and then XYZ. And that XYZ, Frog, is going to come from waiting for the Wardens to step too far forward and try to get too aggressive, trying to convert their lead. Because they're keeping it very small. 2,000 gold is not a lot to work with at 15 minutes, and it's preventing them from really doing a whole lot of anything. They're kind of wasting time letting the Xibalba Storm, which, again, is going to favor this Order team, and because of that, they're really reaching for these opportunities. They're going to try to find one onto Slash here in the right lane.
Good beads there, and will immune the Naja ultimate coming through, so they won't manage to get the pick unless Slash sticks around a little bit too long, worrying me here under the tier 1 tower. But I think as they try to focus this one down, they'll at least be able to take the objective off the map. And on the flip side of it, actually, hold that thought. Elion positioned very aggressively here, but Bitey, if he's not careful, he'll be the one turned around on. Griff is going to have the beads forced out at the very least, but both relics, I think, forced away from Bitey. Nope, I can't see. I'm blind. It's only the Aegis that gets forced away from Bitey. So they'll trade relics, they'll trade ultimates. Ultimately, a lot of ado about nothing on the left-hand side. And my question more goes to, okay, if that's the Xibalba Storm's fight, how do the Wardens want to fight? They have a lot of pick potential. Where's the big fight 5v5 potential?
They've got to get really good vision control around these objectives to know where Elion's at all times, and then just pull for the fight. But hang on, we might have to wait on that as the fight's in mid.
Short Fuse just blinks in, looking for aggression, and he's actually forced to ult out of the way. Briz looking for aggression on the back end, just trying to punish the engagement there finally. Short Fuse finds some of his own, but on the other side, Bitey has no Aegis available. Relentless One trying to chase him down, but will not have the damage to do so just yet. And Kaolin Warden's a little bit split in that engagement. Feels like if they had waited a little bit longer, they could have had a more successful tower dive.
Yeah, they do at least manage to take down the tower without losing anything, though, which is pretty critical there because the Xibalba Storm are waiting for their one foothold back into this game. They, again, don't have the easiest time winning a straight-up 5v5 team fight, but if they get a numbers advantage, if they can surprise you with members in a position where you don't anticipate them because of the mobility inherent in the Janus and the fact that you don't have the best vision control, they could take a very advantageous fight out of nowhere. And that's kind of the threat of a team like this, where you play 18 minutes of SMITE where the Xibalba Storm are on the back foot, and then you don't know what's going on in their comms. They can at any moment decide, all right, we need to take this next fight, and then jump on you. And if you're kind of lulled into a false sense of security, if you're not completely ready for that, it can be very difficult to deal with aggression when you're not anticipating it. If you know they're coming, if you know they're on the way to this Primal Fury, it's a lot easier, but if you hypothetically, Frog, didn't know that that was on the cards, it's much more difficult to deal with.
Well, this time they've got the knowledge. They don't have the oracles. That's the Wardens that have control of the pit for the time being, but they're no dummies. They've rotated their solo laners over towards this side of the map, and everybody knows the next fight is hovering around this Primal Fury. They'll take off the ward here from the Storm as well, and Panic had actually got a back off there, but they're going to pull this one, and off the bat, Relentless One gets poked down to 50% HP. I didn't even see where all of that damage came from, but he's going to be forced to back as well, and now Storm maybe have the upper hand here for a bit.
Yeah, no teleport available or actually purchased for either one of these solo laners, Frog, so all of that poke is going to be much more relevant on both of them because they can't get back into the fight very quickly, have to come back the old-fashioned way, but Relentless One has at least managed to do that successfully and will find his way back over to this Gold Fury pit, at which point it's once again a standoff, and you ask, what do the Xibalba Storm have to do around these objectives? Well, you got to be here for him, and Elyon is not around.
Yeah, do have the through space and time if he wants to get here, but it won't be in time. It will come through a little bit late as the Kaolin Wardens pick up the Primal Fury and continue on the chase. Relentless One forcing out peer pressure and forces the blink and the beads from Elyon. He's used everything and the kitchen sink to get away from this chase down, and the Kaolin Wardens are going to be happy with what they've burned, take their winnings, and back off in the mid lane.
And they got at least something, and it's kind of beginning to look like the writing on the walls is that the Wardens are going to have a similar performance here in Game 2 as they did in Game 1. Remember, it was kind of reasonably close for a while, and then that one objective broke us open and then led to the point in the game where the Xibalba Storm were just too far behind to really fight back into it. The game kind of got the rug pulled out from under it just at about the 18-19 minute mark. So the fact that the Xibalba Storm, with their unconventional draft, have managed to stay in it for this long is actually quite impressive, because now the Wardens have to make much bigger risks in order to advance the game state any further. They've got to look for some kind of tier 2 tower siege if they want to play it safe, but much more likely is the Wardens to just decide, all right, we're running out of time to just farm the map. We've got to do something much more spectacular, much more quickly. Pyromancer goes down. Griff is now level 20. Doesn't quite have the starter item online, but getting pretty damn close here. The Xibalba Storm going to have to take a big risk around this Fire Giant, and that is where the Storm want to be. That is going to be their moment to strike.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a risk somewhere, right? And this time they are in a better position, I think, than Game 1, because they have their leads to hold on to. Previously, I think everybody was a level or 2 levels or a level and a half down as they were looking to fight around this Fire Giant previously in game number 1. This time, you have something to hold on to. In fact, a 2-level lead for both your soul winner and your jungler. Griff, though, does find the engagement here on a Bitey, doing a fantastic job dodging out the autos, but not enough, just barely. That was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought Griff had that in the bag. Does ultimately manage to pick it up, though, and that's a pick, maybe a window towards this objective. It's going to be 30 seconds until Bitey's back on the map.
And perhaps even more important than the fact that Bitey goes down is the fact that both of Bitey's relics go down as he falls as well. Which means that even as he respawns, if he gets there in time, considering the fact that the Warden's already beginning to swarm around this FG pit, will not have those safety tools available, will make it even more difficult for them to step up. As the Wardens go to pull this Fire Giant Frog, and it is only Elyon around here.
Okay, but Elyon, he's the only real one with steal potential, and they've used the Earthshaker away from him, but he's used the through space and time too early in the fight. Hard to do that with no vision, so we can forgive him for missing the steal on that one. That was an almost impossible one to have. Yeah, it looks like they're going to continue pushing down this one. Relentless One is just alone pushing down Briz here, and he's standing in the poison with the thorns. Briz forced into the ultimate, but Short Fuse has caught out peer pressure in return, and it will be at least the support falling instead of the mid laner, but that's now another delayed pick that the Wardens have as they try to siege.
Yeah, they've got the respawn timers staggered out here, which means that it's very difficult for them to mount a defense without all of their members here, but at least to help them out, Relentless One is actually in right, responding to the split push coming out from Elyon, trying to grab that tier 2 tower. Tier 2 falls in left, and it looks like maybe the Gold Fury due on the cards here for the Kaolin Wardens, not quite willing to go to this tier 2 tower in mid just yet. Got a little bit of time to play with here, Frog, because again, no relic still for 50 seconds for Bitey. It's a very critical component to work into these team fights, because that gives them a very well-defined target. They already have, hang on, through space and time, I'll hold my breath here. As they, oh my god, he stole it away! I could feel it in my bones, Frog. I knew it was gonna happen.
Steals it from across the map with just a little, I actually don't even know if he had vision on that. They might have had the oracles. I'm not going to take that chance away. Elyon, though, certainly that might be the momentum that they need, Kaizo, to get back into this game. They take away the Gold Fury. They get a little bit more in their coffers. And if anything, they're less behind than they were when they took away, or when they got this fire giant taken away, it's gone from 5k down to, yeah, it's bounced up just a little bit, right? They're holding on sub 5k and close in the team. I don't know if it's enough to fight back into the next fire giant, but you're certainly happy about that one if you're early on.
Right, and it just means that this fire giant push that's coming now as everybody groups up around this tier 2 in mid is going to be much more impactful on the state of this game. Ordinarily, with an early fire giant like this, you're looking to increase your lead and set up for the next FG. But now this time around, you've already kind of gotten your lead hamstrung. You need another source of gold. You need a pretty good team fight in order to feel pretty positive about the way that this FG push has gone for you. Wardens are here in mid. Now Leon is lingering off to this left-hand side.
Yeah, he is definitely looking for the game-changing play through space and time being charged
Bitey
up, and he hits 2 and almost knocks out Short Fuse in the backline as Relentless One zones the rest of the squad. And if they have anything to say about it, they will take down the Soul Laner, and the tier 2 tower stands strong. Leon making space in the front line. They finally find some life in one of these fights, and it could not come at a better time.
Yeah, he didn't just make space, Frog. He made time as well there, I would argue. And I don't just mean the ability name. I mean that stalls out the game state for a wide period of time here. The Wardens wanted to take down that middle tier 2 tower, make sure that there's no safety left available for the Xibalba Storm to retreat to. And with that tower still staying up, that gives them a little bit more map presence, and it prevents the Wardens from snowballing this lead any further. They would have ideally liked to have gotten a good engage there. They got huge damage onto Bitey with the combination of Panda Cat firing off the ult and Relentless One knocking him up so he couldn't use the Aegis. That could have been a game-deciding fight there for the Kaolin Wardens. But Xibalba Storm stalled just long enough with the through space and time that now Fire Giant respawning, they've got presumably most of their backliner relics back available there because everybody was backing up to help Bitey, who was really the only one under threat. They've got just about their best position all game now around this Fire Giant because all of their characters are level 20, save for the support who does have the Lonos Mask available in base if he wants to upgrade it. It's a very good spot for the Storm in a game that has been pretty much on ice for the entire time.
This is not a free fight by any means. The Wardens have to be aware of the Storm's positioning, and they're not going to pay much respect to it. They're going to pull the Fire Giant. It's already down to half HP. Here comes Leon with the through space and time available. Hasn't used it just yet, and Bitey gets taken out of his result. He's off the mark with the ultimate, and the Kaolin Wardens have just found the success. They've just pressed the W key and they find the ADC as a result. A huge trade back though from Briz onto Griff is going to slow down their objective shred for the time being, and once again the delay is successful, and it might be even more than that. The blink in, Leon finds the supports, and they may even find more as Panda Cat is trapped between 4 members and is running the wrong way. The Storm just keep pushing, and they will take down 2, take down 3. They may look for the Fire Giant themselves.
Everybody fairly low here for the Storm. They do still have Relentless One around. Short Fuse also on the scenery, but he will be spotted out in mid lane. The Xibalba Storm don't look comfortable pulling this one, Frog, which is surprising considering that's the best fight that we have seen from them all game long. Getting a 3-4-0 is by a wide margin the best fight we've seen. And it came from a very questionable engage from the Kaolin Wardens. Short Fuse sashes in, hits Slash of all people with the ult, who still had beads on cooldown for about 20 seconds, and instead of pulling him up into the air, we don't get to see the Dharmic Pillars Earthshaker combo come out. He ults out of that fight, baiting his entire team forward, making it so that the Xibalba Storm had a little bit of space to work with, and then they lose sight of Leon again. And that should have been the end of it, but doesn't even connect with the through space and time, didn't even need to there, because everybody from the Wardens was so far forward to kill Bitey that they could just collapse around them and choke them out like a serpent. The Wardens have to play much more I was going to say discombobulated, but that's kind of the word that I would use to describe the way that fight looked. Nothing really went well for them, Frog. I mean, I don't know what the idea was there, but whatever that was, don't do that again. That is my official analysis of that fight.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if the Wardens feel more hesitant to pull objectives after getting that Gold Fury stolen from across the map, right? Like, that's got to be just living a little bit in the back of your head, rent-free, as you said, despite the fact they've got Earthshaker. They've got a Runic Bomb in their back pocket as well. The Pure Pressure has one on the other side as well. But, like, at the end of the day, I would almost just rather them, if they're not comfortable taking a fight, just pull the Fire Giant. That was something the Storm were unwilling to do right there in that small window they had. And they're just playing counter engage.
Yeah, and they could very well look to just coin flip coin flip the objectives and then take the fight after the fact. Because El Leon is your biggest threat, and if he's investing the ult to try to get the secure onto the objective, he doesn't have it for the fight.
True story. Gets poked out, and Earthshaker gets pushed onto both carries here. Short Fuse finds Peer Pressure, and Elion finds his way into the back line, but Short Fuse has a double, and it may be a triple here if they have anything to say about it. A beautiful knock-up sash combo, and the jungler nets 3 in the fight, and all of a sudden, I think they open it up so cleanly, but we can't let it drop just yet. The Fire Giant is still being looked at, and Slash is in the vicinity. El Leon is on the backside of this fight as well. They're just trying to make space, and El Leon, he picks up Griff for free. They're keeping them on this objective. El Leon goes massive, and they take away the Fire Giant as well. What is happening? They take down 3. They answer back. They steal the objective. El Leon has gone insane and picks up a triple of his own, and everything flips on a dime.
The X Factor, Frog, of this Janus can never be undersold. I was a hater the entire game, even back before we loaded in, even in picks and bans phase. I did not think this team composition would work, and I have 100% been proven wrong by the MVP performance that El Leon has had here in game number 2. Game 1 was not great. We did not see the same El Leon that we're used to. But here in Game 2, my man is putting the team on his back with a 5-0-2 objective-stealing, team-fight-winning, solo agent performance, the likes of which I cannot even think of the last time that I saw anything remotely resembling this. Leon is making a really good team look like they have no coordination whatsoever. He gets an incredible engagement into the back of that fight, distracting all of the Kaolin Wardens, and then he combines with the distraction run by Slash to not only prevent the Wardens from securing the objective with the Earthshaker that PandaCat did fire off to try to secure that objective, but they also successfully buy enough time, get the health bars low enough that El Leon can step up, drop one more unstable vortex, and finish off enough members that the Wardens have to back on out of the pit. That is just about as good of teamwork as we just saw from Slash and Leon as you can ask any jungle solo to do at any level of play.
Yeah, and that was the lead that they had, right? That was the thing that they had to hold on to if they were going to find openings into this game. And for the 3 kills that you take down, if you're the Kaolin Wardens, like you take down 3, you should be feeling pretty comfortable to pull that Fire Giant. But if the 2 left up on the map are Slash and El Leon, with the potential that they just showed, I'm not sure if I'm feeling comfortable anymore. But man, that is quite the turnaround. And now we get to see what they do with it. They've got the Fire Giant around their waist for a couple more seconds. They've taken down all of the tier 2 towers if they manage to do it on this right-hand side as well. But I don't think the Wardens are in a position to put up a defense.
That's a
here.
long portal.
Yeah, that's probably a max range portal. I don't know if they're actually going to use it to push up. But now the question is on, like, that last fight happens, like we said on picks and bans. We said in the death segment that they might need a miracle in this game in order to try and fight back into it with this composition. And I'm not sure what else I'm describing that as. Like, I'm okay calling that a miracle. Like, I'm fine if that's what we're going to label it. How do they do that twice, though? Right? Like, they don't get a Phoenix. There's no fire minions. They're ahead a little bit now, but
Right.
like they have to find success. I don't think the Wardens ever let that happen a second time.
Yeah, that's the hard part here, is now we have to take a deep breath and realize that even though they stole away the enhanced fire giant, even though they got the convincing team fight, they didn't get anything off of it other than those two things. They prevented the Wardens again from ending the game from the impending doom that we've been feeling the entire time. They staved that off for another enhanced fire giant frog, but they have not put themselves in realistically any different position than we saw them in 4 minutes ago when the fire giant was getting pulled. You're basically asking Leon to do that again, or somehow for the Xibalba Storm to have learned from the way that that fight went, because the way that they played it out with, you know, Briz and Bitey just getting beaten down by Relentless One, that only works with the miracle play, as you called it, coming out of El Leon in the jungle. So you can't really allow that to happen a second time. You're still in the same spot. You still have to find a way into these fights. And if you're just going to say, you know, El Leon will do it for us, he'll figure it out. He's a smart guy. I met him at Worlds. I shook his hand. He's a very charismatic person, but that's not going to mean that he's got 2 enhanced fire giant steals in him in the same game.
Lincoln from Relentless One already onto the back line. They see Elion in mid. They don't want to fight around him. Instead, it's the dive onto the double ADC composition, but they'll get nothing out of that ultimate, just trading with the ADC ultimate, and Earthshaker only hits the support as well. They've lost that secure ability at the same time, and they get nothing off of that engage. They burn 1 ultimate. That's it.
Yeah, the Storm have to go now, man. You are not getting a better opportunity than what you have right now. No Naja ult available, no Vulcan ult available, no Relentless One ult, no A True Story ult, and you have almost every single cooldown you could possibly hope to work with. If there was ever a time in this entire game for the Xibalba Storm to play aggressively, it's gotta be right now. They have to pull this Fire Giant at this very second. Otherwise, the Wardens are just going to do that all over again and hopefully do it cleaner next time. I absolutely do not like that the Storm are backing up here. They are giving up their best chance at a fight on the front foot they've had the entire game.
I mean, they're almost playing around a miracle, it feels like, right? As cliche as that is to say, it feels like that is what they're relying their fight composition. Like, yeah, like we'll just find a huge Janus play. That's how we'll win fights, guys. Right? And oh my goodness, it's not gonna work.
Goodbye.
If they pick El Leon. Griff finds the first one, and Relentless One finds his way into the back again. At least they trade 1 for 1, and the Soul Laner falls. Another execute could come through, but it's off the mark. Slash finds the double anyways, and Bitey is through on the snipes. Turns out, if you use everything on Janus, you don't have anything else for the rest of the team. They've taken down 3, they'll make it 4 as a triple for the Soul Laner comes through. And if last time wasn't a good opportunity, well, this may be the push.
Yeah, 4 against 1. No El Leon for 30 seconds, but no entirety of the Kaolin Wardens for 30 seconds, except for Panda Cat ult, due to come up in just a couple of seconds here, Frog. He's got to make a miracle of his own happen, 1v4.
He's got to be perfect. He's got both relics in the tank, so if there was any time to do it, it would be now as the ultimate comes back online. But they're pushing in towards the Titan room. Earthshaker does hit 3, but it's aegis out by the carries. Slash is so low. He's trying to tank up the Titan, but it's falling fast. It's down to 25% HP. Everybody's on top of it. And somehow, through fire and flames, the Xibalba Storm pushes to 3.
And that could not have been a more poetic way for that game to go, Frog, because we spent the entirety of that game talking about how it's got to be El Leon. El Leon has to hit the Janus ult. El Leon has to steal away the objective. He's got to get into the backline. El Leon, El Leon, El Leon. And then El Leon gets picked. and it should have been all gloom and doom for the Xibalba Storm, but everyone else on the team steps up when they needed to and fight their way back into that, even without the Miracle Maker in the jungle himself. And I could not be happier with the way that went. I could not be happier to be wrong about the fact that the Xibalba Storm just went incredibly powerful and incredibly impactful here in game number 2.